Good morning. It is good to be here with you this morning. My name is Reverend Lois Cole. I am the affiliated community minister of the Unitarian Universalist Society. Reverend Diana Smith, our minister, is on medical leave, and we will be hearing from her a little bit later in a message in the service. As we gather, we give thanks for this land and all who have stewarded it over the years and centuries, particularly the nations who lived in interdependence with this land before colonization: the Kickapoo, the Iowa, the Sauk, the Meskwaki, the Oceti-Shokoe nations. As people of many ages, genders, races, sexual orientations, classes, abilities, and health statuses, we know how important it is to come together as a radically welcoming community. Our covenantal faith expresses our core value of love through how we agree to be together and support each other. So it is good to affirm that we have faith and hope in this congregation, in each other, and in the ways that we support each other and grow. And so as we gather, we affirm that wherever any of us is on our life's journey, whether we come to worship with joy in our hearts, or weighted with burdens, in need of rest, or searching for people to engage in the struggle with us, we are glad, and this community is glad that we are here. If you are here in person, to help ensure a smooth stream for those watching on YouTube, please either turn off your cell phone or else silence it and turn off your Wi-Fi. And if you need to use an app or device to help you engage with this worship service, we hope you will do so. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe what our consciences tell us we must believe. We are guided by the shared principles and sources of our living religious tradition. This morning, we celebrate how this congregation is made up of all of us bringing our skills, our passions, our resources to create community. We also celebrate that Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, begins tonight. So our call to worship is "Let Us Be Awestruck" by Reverend Kristen Grassel-Schmidt. The Jewish New Year commemorates the creation of the world, the bringing forth of order where once there was only chaos, the birth of the building blocks of life. As Jews within and beyond these walls begin to celebrate Rosh Hashanah tonight, let us all celebrate. Let us marvel. Let us be awestruck. For the same force that brought our planet into being, the same force that evolved tiny atoms and molecules and DNA into intelligent life, the same power that transformed summer into autumn and autumn into winter, that same power is still at work in the universe and in us, always bringing about new seasons, new creations, and new possibilities. Breath of life, breathe in us, with us, and through us this day as we gather, one in community, one in commitment to truth, love, and justice. Open our minds and hearts to the new that's always being created. Come, friends, let us celebrate, let us marvel, let us be filled with awe. Come, let us worship together.
It's nice to be with you all today. So our first hymn you may be well familiar with. It is number 347 in the gray hymnal if you're looking there, or the words will be on the screen. And I invite you to stand as you're able and willing, and we'll get it started.
Gather the Spirit, harvest the power, our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of His hour, our trials in this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion, and strength. Gather to celebrate centered in love and conscience refined, with body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun, winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in strength, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, celebrate once again. Thank you.
I'm Brenda Lindley, a worship associate and member of UUS. My pronouns are she, they. As Unitarian Universalists, we light a flame within a chalice as a symbol of sanctuary and safety to unite us in our worship and to remind us of our ongoing search for the light of truth. Please join me in saying our chalice words as I light our chalice. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the wonder and mystery of this great gift. So let us now kindle the flame of our liberal religious heritage and renew our covenant of mutual love and care. Love is our doctrine. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to serve those in need. This we promise, this we covenant with life and one another. When we light our candle for justice and healing, we hold space for our understanding of interdependence, that our liberation is bound up with every other person's liberation, and our feelings of rage and heartbreak over ongoing oppression, racism, and climate chaos. We light this candle that we may not be numbed or lost to injustice and trauma, but rather find strength, courage, and love together to continue engaging with the struggles for liberation, justice, and healing. We light this candle to help us remind ourselves that together we are creating resilience and hope. Today, as we light this candle, we're particularly mindful of the devastating flooding and damage in Puerto Rico following Hurricane Fiona. As I light this candle, let's hold a time of silence to listen to our hearts and bodies, or perhaps lift up prayers.
Good morning. If any of our children, our youth, those at Young at Heart would like to come forward for our time for all ages, this morning I will be reading a book titled Good Morning, Neighbor The author is Davide Kali, and it is illustrated by Maria Deck. If you'd like to come forward now, you can to see the pictures. All right. Thanks, dude. Oh, we have more friends coming. I will wait for them. A mouse wanted to make an omelet. To make an omelet, the mouse needed an egg, but he didn't have one. So he thought, I'll ask my neighbor, the blackbird. Good morning, neighbor. Do you have an egg I could use to make an omelet? I'm sorry, I don't, said the blackbird, but I do have flour. With an egg, we could make a cake. Let's go and ask my neighbor, the dormouse. A mouse and a blackbird wanted to make a cake. Good morning, neighbor. Do you have an egg that we could use to make a cake? I'm sorry, I don't, said the dormouse, but I do have butter. You'll need butter to make a cake. For the egg, we can ask my neighbor, the mole. So there they are. A mouse, a blackbird, and a dormouse wanted to make a cake. They're going to see the mole. Good morning, neighbor. Do you have an egg that we could use to make a cake? I'm sorry, I don't, said the mole, but I do have sugar. You'll definitely need sugar to make a cake. Perhaps my neighbor, the hedgehog, will loan us an egg. Do you think the hedgehog's going to have an egg?
I think he will, but I don't think he'll want to give it.
Oh.
Yeah, but hedgehogs are quite pokey.
They are pokey.
Yeah, but they can hurt you.
Yeah.
Hey,
A mouse, a blackbird, a dormouse, and a mole wanted to make a cake. Good morning, neighbor. Do you have an egg we could use to make a cake? I'm sorry, I don't, said the hedgehog. What kind of cake do you want to make? I have apples. Maybe we can make an apple cake. My neighbor the raccoon might have an egg. We'll see. A mouse, a blackbird, just a minute, Wild. A mouse, a blackbird, a dormouse, a mole, and a hedgehog wanted to make a cake. Good morning, neighbor. Do you have an egg we can use to make a cake? I'm sorry, I don't, said the raccoon, but I have cinnamon to add flavor. Let's go see if my neighbor the lizard has an egg. They can. They can. A mouse, a blackbird, a dormouse, a mole, a hedgehog, and a raccoon wanted to make a cake. All right, Wild, let's find out what happens. Yeah. Good morning, neighbor. Do you have an egg we could use to make a cake? I'm sorry, I don't, said the lizard, but I do have raisins. For the egg, we can ask my neighbor, the bat. A mouse, a blackbird, a dormouse, a mole, a hedgehog, a raccoon, and a lizard wanted to make a cake. They already had flour, butter, sugar, apples, cinnamon, and raisins. The only thing missing was the egg. Of course I have an egg, said the bat. The neighbors finally had all the ingredients they needed, and so they began. The blackbird poured the flour, the bat broke the egg, the dormouse added the butter, and the mole stirred in the sugar. The mouse mixed the dough, and the hedgehog added the apples. The raccoon sprinkled the cinnamon, and the lizard topped it with raisins. It's a lot of work. A mouse, a blackbird, a dormouse, a mole, a hedgehog, a raccoon, a lizard, and a bat wanted to make a cake. The cake was ready to be baked. All they needed was an oven. Good morning, neighbor. Could we use your oven to bake a cake? Certainly, said the owl. So all of the animals joined the owl in her kitchen. The cake finally came out of the oven, and it was perfect. But when it was time to serve it, the owl asked, "How many slices should I cut?" The blackbird put in the flour, so she gets a slice. The dormouse put in the butter, so he gets a slice. The mole offered the sugar, so obviously they get a slice. The hedgehog provided the apples, so he gets a slice too. A slice also goes to the raccoon for adding the cinnamon, and a slice goes to the lizard for pitching in raisins. Lastly, a slice goes to the bat for putting in the egg. And we must not forget the owl. She needs a slice for the use of her oven. So that makes 8 slices in all. What about me? Asked the mouse. You didn't put in anything, said the dormouse. So you don't get a slice. And anyway, it's hard to cut a cake into 9 slices. The mouse went away sadly, while the other animals began to divide the cake. Well, said the blackbird, if the mouse hadn't asked me for an egg, I wouldn't have thought about giving him flour to make the cake. And if he hadn't asked me for an egg, I wouldn't have put in the butter, said the dormouse. And I wouldn't have offered the sugar, said the mole. And I wouldn't have pitched in the apples, said the hedgehog. And I wouldn't have added the cinnamon, said the raccoon. I wouldn't have pitched in the raisins, said the lizard. And we wouldn't have a cake to share, said the bat. You're right, said the owl. And so the blackbird, the dormouse, the mole, the hedgehog, the raccoon, the lizard, the bat, and the owl cut the cake into 9 slices. There they all are. Which wasn't that hard after all. The end.
I have so many eggs. All right, you know the song? Yeah. Good? Be still. Something wonderful to happen. Be your friend, responsibility. Be your friend, something wonderful to happen. Be your friend, responsibility. Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Is this microphone on? I don't think it's coming through. Can the microphone be turned on? Okay, thank you. I'm Peggy Gurgis, Director of Congregational and Community Engagement, and my pronouns are she and her. If you're newer to our community, we are glad you're here. If you're here in person, your neighbor or a greeter in the atrium would love to tell you more about UUS or maybe even give you a tour. If you're here online, there is a link to a visitor form in the YouTube notes so that we can connect with you. Our congregation is made up of many people and many communities. We gather in many ways to learn, sing, laugh, share meals, try new things, and help repair our beautiful, broken world. Together we create a community that nurtures us as we seek to live love more fully and fiercely into this world. This morning, Hillary Higgins is here to share more about her connection to UUS.
Good morning. Don't we have a wonderful church? Yay! My name is Hillary Higgins, and my pronouns are she and her. I have been a Unitarian Universalist for about 5 years. As you know, I love to laugh, and I'm kind of sassy. But I do take my faith seriously. I hope people see me as funny and kind, well thought and principled. I co-lead a covenant group. I belong to a hospitality team, and I am a member of CUPS and currently considering other options. I feel much more guidance and love in this non-creedal faith that I have found and adopted than I ever did on a kneeler in my Catholic church. When I first came to UUS, I didn't Google, I didn't do any research, I just came looking for connection. And I knew more about what I didn't want than what I did want. So imagine coming in being a more spiritual person than a person that loved to pray and kneel and bounce up and down, and meditating in the first service that I went to. I was happy but shocked. As many of you know, my favorite part of being a UU is covenant. That we all strive to work for the same thing, and we make that commitment to each other all the time. I join each of you working on these 6 sources and 8 principles to work into those promises of covenant. The longer I'm here, the more connections that I make. As a single person who lives alone, connection, a hug, a hand held, a smile of someone happy or eager or open to see me is always welcome and special. So is conversation. It's joyful for me to see each one of you every Sunday and to be welcomed so warmly. If we haven't reached each other yet, please help me to make it so. I'm going to close using a quote from the Mark Nepo's Accepting This that some of us were led to this week and in the past weeks. My efforts now turn from trying to outrun suffering to accepting love whenever and wherever I can find it. Everything I could ever need or ask for is right here in flawed abundance. Thank you for being with me in covenant in this church.
Here at UUS, we covenant to love, serve, share, and work together. We believe that each of us has an important part to play in the congregation's web of caring. Many of you care for each other by listening, calling someone on the phone when you're wondering about them or know they're going through a difficult time, sending a card, sharing a hug, giving a ride, or bringing someone a meal. This is part of how we create a community of care. When problems are serious or are confidential in nature, it's often the role of ministers to provide a deeper level of care. And when a congregation grows to our size, where it's no longer possible for everyone to know everyone else, and for the minister to provide all the pastoral care that is needed, the minister typically identifies and trains a number of trusted, skilled people to assist as pastoral caregivers. In their role as pastoral caregivers, these folks offer support during life's transitions and challenges, not only to their friends, but to those they don't know. They're available to anyone in the congregation in need of pastoral care. At UUS, our Pastoral Care Team, which has been around for many, many years, works in partnership with the minister and others who care for members of our congregation. Pastoral care associates provide compassionate living and an environment of hope and support for spiritual growth in times of illness and loss, loneliness, or demanding times. In addition to meeting with people one-to-one, they work with the minister to provide monthly discussions about topics relevant to our lives. We also have Unicare coordinators who arrange meals, equipment, and other support for people who have had a recent surgery or treatment, have lost a loved one, or are in similar need. Pastoral care associates and Unicare coordinators have been carefully selected. They are chosen not only because of their commitment to this work, but also for their demonstrated listening skills, empathy, and good judgment. They take part in ongoing trainings and are committed to their own personal and spiritual growth. They are dedicated to reaching out to share this work with the larger congregation. So if you wish to reach them, if you can get out your pens. To reach them, you can email pastoralcare@UUSIC or call UUS's office. Actually, easy to remember. So it is a privilege for me to be here as someone involved in spiritual care in a hospital setting. It's certainly an honor to assist with this team as you need me, and to honor you at this time and call you forward. Members of the Pastoral Care Team, will you come forward as I call your names so that we may commission you? Maureen Patterson, who leads the team and is a Pastoral Care Associate. Valerie Bowman, who is a Pastoral Care Associate. Diane Martin, who coordinates Unicare. Mary McMurray, who coordinates Unicare. Virginia Melroy, who is a pastoral care associate. Carol Norquist, who is with us virtually, who is a pastoral care associate. Liz Swanson, who is a pastoral care associate. Jeff Wahlberg, who is a pastoral care associate. Tom, oh my gosh, Tom McMurray, who is a pastoral care associate. So, pastoral care team members, are you committed to offering and encouraging pastoral care within this congregation? Will you reach out to those in need with open minds and open hearts, seeking to being a healing presence as you companion people? Pastoral team members engage in this ministry as an extension of the nurturing spirit of this congregation. So I ask members and friends of UUS, will you honor them with the roles and responsibilities of being a pastoral care team members, allowing yourself to receive their care when needed, reaching out to let them know when care is needed, and remembering that we all are part of providing a community of care. If so, say, I will, we will. May we all remember this commissioning as a sign and affirmation of your call to service and the love that calls you into this work. May you live and give from an open heart. Let us welcome this team.
As we enter into our time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer, we acknowledge the joys and sorrows of our congregation. We do this by dropping stones into a bowl of water, symbolically immersing our personal joys and sorrows into the flow of all life's joys and sorrows. The water surrounds and holds the stone just as we are surrounded and held by the love and support of this congregation. As you came in, you may have picked up a stone that you have been holding. If you didn't pick up a stone as you came in, there are stones for you next to the bowl of water. At the end, I will place one last stone in the water for those joys and sorrows that remain in our hearts. If you're participating in the service elsewhere, you may wish to meditatively hold a stone, wash your hands, or meditate on an object near you. And now, if you're in the sanctuary, please come forward and place your stone in the water as we sing, "There is a Love."
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all I read. in this love. There's a love holding us. There is a love. Oh, there is a love holding all that we love. There is a love. There is a love holding all. There is a love. Oh. We rest in that love. This love. There's a love holding us. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
I invite you to join me in a meditation on the breath. You may wish to close your eyes and focus your attention on your breath as you hear these words by Samuel Trumbore. Let us turn inward now. Feel the rhythm of the breath, in and out. In and out. Find the peace of just being with the flow of the breath, letting go of yesterday and tomorrow. Feel the restorative power of the peace of this moment. A peace large enough to open to the concerns and sorrows that trouble us. A stillness quiet enough to respond to the joys and celebrations that enliven us. There is safety here in the rhythm of the breath. The ebb and flow of life is enacted with each one, taking in oxygen sustenance, letting go of carbon dioxide waste, taking in the fullness of experience, letting go of the residue that wants to cling to us, breathing in and out. In and out, just noticing the breath. Let us cultivate inner peace and inner safety in this sanctuary dedicated to cultivating the spirit of life, dedicated to being a beacon of love for all beings. Blessed be and amen.
Good morning. I'm Liz Swanson. I hope that all of this is very familiar to you. We have mailed out a number of these, and if you didn't have the opportunity to get it in your mail, we do have more folders and information on the information table in the Northex. So please pick one up if you haven't had an opportunity to read it. This year's campaign is very significant as we come back together in so many ways, as Reverend Diana will mention in a few minutes. After a multiple year effort, our UUS colleagues have developed an important plan focusing on the following components: higher membership growth, increased non-pledge revenues, balanced budget by 2024. Keeping these components in mind, the Stewardship Committee, in discussions with the Finance Committee and with the board's support, have developed a campaign goal. Our goal for 2023 is $440,000. As part of the sharing in our community, we are fortunate that members of the congregation have stepped forward and committed funds to match all pledge increases at 7% or higher. We now have commitments of $14,000, which in our materials we had mentioned $11,000, but a couple have come forward and we now have $14,000 in commitments. We are very grateful for these individuals who have extended these match opportunities to all of us. Thank you. We are also grateful for the members who have recently joined UUS and have pledged support for the rest of this year, as well as already pledged for 2023. Thank you so much. I'm also pleased to announce that Barb Herring has joined the Stewardship Committee. Thank you, Barb. As you can see, we are coming back together and sharing our skills, our resources, and time. We hope these actions will inspire all of our households to assist as you are able, so that we can achieve our campaign goal for 2023. Meeting this goal will enable us to reconnect with one another at a deeper level. Stay tuned. Through the several Sundays of October, we will have testimonials, we will have updates, and a celebration. It's only going to be cookie and coffee. I'm sorry. I wanted cake, but I lost. On the 16th of October, when we will share the pledge updates that have been made at that time. Thank you on behalf of the Committee of Stewardship, Diana Miller, Pete Brokaw, Reverend Diana, Michael Schmidt, Barb Herring, and Jerry Wetlaufer is going to join us in Reverend Diana's absence. Again, in community, thank you.
Dear ones, creating an ever-evolving and deepening community based in love requires each of us sharing our passions, our skills, and our resources to strengthen this beloved community. During the last 2.5 strange and difficult years, we've done this, continuously creating new ways of building community, finding spiritual sustenance and growth, and living our values. This year, we've been gaining even more momentum and expanding our ways to connect as we've been coming back together through small group ministries and religious education for all ages, multi-platform worship services, vibrant justice and service work, compassionate connections, and much more. All of this makes us shine ever brighter as a beacon of love for each other and the world. This congregation and our Unitarian Universalist faith are life-saving. There are so many ways that we transform individual lives and our community. As you call to mind and heart images, sounds, and feelings from this past year at UUS, what comes to you? Just a few of the many, many moments that flash before me include so many times gathering on Sundays, both online and in person, to celebrate the wonder and joy, as well as the sorrows of our lives and of the world. Learning and growing together, seeing children learning and creating, and watching our youth find a place to learn and talk about some of life's biggest changes in our whole lives, our comprehensive sexuality education program. I see people of all ages moved to joyful tears and celebration by our presence at Iowa City Pride. I hear the voices of people I meet in the wider community who are delighted to find that I look familiar because I'm the minister of the congregation they've been connecting with online during the pandemic. I recall youth of color who received support they desperately needed due to our support of Better Way Forward. I feel the impact of our sponsorship of refugees from Myanmar, Afghanistan, and several Central American countries. And when I think of the ways our congregation is practicing community care, so many moments of pastoral care, both ones that I've been a part of and ones that pass between members of this congregation, come to me. All of these things and many more are why we're celebrating the many ways that we're coming back together in this year's stewardship campaign. Yes, this year we're coming together more and more in person with new offerings, but we're also coming together through growing multi-platform, that is in person and online ministries, and through our online-only programming. Even before the pandemic, we knew that practicing our values meant attending to the ways we come together so that we can care for all who are part of our community. This congregation practiced this value in building a new home that prioritized caring for our interdependent web and is accessible to people with many abilities. And now we're practicing it through the ways we develop our programming, care for our community, and expand our radical welcome. Our annual stewardship campaign supports our efforts to further develop our culture and practices of radical welcoming so that we can be an even brighter beacon of love for each other and our community. I know that many of you may be wondering about the way that I'm presenting to you today. For those of you who haven't received or haven't had a chance to read the congregational email that went out on Friday, I've just begun a short-term medical leave to heal from long COVID. As the pandemic has gone on, I know many of us have come to know people with various long-lasting effects of COVID. For me, after my initial recovery from COVID this summer, I continued to experience chronic exhaustion, brain fog, and some breathing and other inflammatory challenges. While I was alternating between a vacation, work, and study leave this summer, this didn't faze me much. However, since I've returned to full-time ministry at the beginning of August, my long COVID has gotten progressively worse. While much is still being learned about long COVID, my underlying autoimmune conditions may have contributed to my heightened inflammatory response. I now need to take a larger chunk of time away to fully rest, reduce my body's inflammatory response, help my neurological symptoms resolve, and learn to adapt to these changes. While I'm on medical leave, I'll also be working with my support team on finding ways to stay physically active, remain connected to family and friends, and learn and keep learning without overtaxing my body and mind. While I'm away on medical leave, the Pastoral Care Team, staff, and many others, especially our Board of Trustees, will be supporting our congregation. It feels hard to take this time away at the beginning of an exciting congregational year, and especially as we kick off our stewardship campaign celebrating the many ways that we're coming together. We have so many wonderful things happening at UUS and such an amazing team and teams of lay leaders and staff. At the same time, having such wonderful teams and such a vibrant shared ministry that we have invested in means that I know that you will be able to keep our beautiful and life-saving ministry going without me in the coming weeks. I've worked with congregational leadership and staff on plans for this, and I know that one of the ways that we come together is through how we support each other through the many changes of life. While I'm away, I will miss you all and the wonderful, fulfilling work that we are doing. At the same time, I know that you'll be holding each other in care and continuing to make UUS a beacon. The exciting and inspiring work that we're doing at UUS requires all of us together. As you engage with this year's stewardship campaign, I encourage you to reflect and act on how you can share yourself, your skills and passions, and your resources to build this congregation and help us live love ever more fully and fiercely into the world. We share ourselves, our gifts and resources, because this religion and this congregation were made by ancestors who sometimes didn't think they could find a way. Because they did it imperfectly, and because we have a vision of a Unitarian Universalism that keeps growing and strengthening, creating a community of radical love and solidarity within and beyond our walls. We share because of our gratitude for the blessings of this life, and because generosity is a path born of love and constantly recreated by love. Because love asks that we respond to commitment, and because love asks that we respond with commitment so that we can create an even deeper community of radical love right here. So may it be, so may we share. Amen. And blessed, blessed be, beloveds.
How we give, what we do with our lives, our time, and our resources is a reflection of our values. In response to the abundance we are blessed with, every week this congregation donates generously to organizations in the community whose work aligns with our values and principles. Our community partner agency this month is Shelter House, which operates a 70-bed emergency shelter in addition to 4 homes and an apartment building, which provides more than 60 permanent supportive housing units. They focus on programs and support services, including housing, employment, and mental health recovery. On the screen, you will see instructions for how to give online, or you may take this time to write a check and address an envelope to UUS to be put in the mail. If you're attending this service here in the sanctuary, you can give online, or there is a basket for checks in the atrium. The usher can help you find it after the service. You may assist our community partner, contribute to the congregation to provide additional support for our operating expenses, or contribute towards your pledge to our society. The offering is a sign of commitment to this free congregation, which is completely supported by the generosity of all who join with us. As we give and receive the offering, may we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts.
In honor of Rosh Hashanah and the days of awe beginning tonight, we have a song in Hebrew. The words translate to, "The world is sustained by 3 things: truth, or the Torah, justice, and peace." So.
Divine power.
Thank you. That was lovely. Thank you.
You can come sing with us, too.
I wanted to. Nurturing gratitude and how we understand and express interdependence is part of how we live into our Unitarian Universalist faith. May what has been shared today help us more fully affirm our interconnection and live into love and justice. Immediately after the service, we will have time for all to join in conversation and community. If you're online, a link to our Zoom coffee hour is being dropped into the chat. If you're in person, we gather in the fellowship hall and outside for conversation. Our discussion question, which you may want to chat about during coffee hour, is insert question for the week. So, it's up to you. Your choice. So, there are designated tables in the fellowship hall if you'd like to join a discussion specifically about that. And if you'd like to know more about the resources used in today's service, you can find a bibliography at the end of our email order of service or using the QR code on your print order of service. And now, to close our service today, we will sing Spirit, Make Us One.
You probably know that this song was written for this congregation on its 175th anniversary. And so I invite you to sing with gusto, and I invite you to rise as you're willing and able.
Proclaim a saving message as in times of old. History give us courage, make us bold. There is
May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all tears and fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us now and always. Let us go forth in peace to love and better the world. Lashana Tova, to a good new year.
I'll ask you to just try something new with me right now. I know, we have like 2 minutes, or we're over 8 minutes, however you want to look at it. But I'll ask you to sing with me. Amen. Let it be so. Try it. Amen. Let it be so. Amen. Let it be so. Now the choir behind me, you can keep singing that. Amen. They're going to start adding in some things. You can keep singing Amen, let it be so. Amen. 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 Let